That's it. Hello, Josh. Hello, Patricia. How are you both? Well, actually, Patricia, I know how Patricia is. I've been talking to her all evening, but Patricia's there, still there. Josh, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Not having done it for a while.
Yeah, actually, I had to kind of remember how to log in to this. So I haven't done it since I with you last time.
Yeah, like I went to make the hangout. I said to Patricia, "What am I supposed to do? I've forgotten what I was supposed to do to make a hangout." Anyway, this is our second hangout today, so thank you for being our second friend guest of the.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you've been doing some very, very interesting videos, haven't you, Josh? I really like the spider one, and I actually like the one about the presidents, which I didn't even know that. But Patricia, before we get going, is there anything you'd like to say to Josh?
Just to say hello, that's all. I
Hi.
look forward to hearing what you've got to say.
Hopefully it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when we think about it, we already know that bees hover, don't we? And that whole thing. And what made you look up the spider thing? Is it just something you knew or something you just wanted to explain to everybody your spider video?
Yeah, it's something I knew about for a while. And I probably just I go through so many different things in my mind. I have so many notes and so much going on in there, and I think it's I kind of let my video production happen organically. I don't set out most of the time anyway. I don't say, okay, I'm going to do this and this and this. I kind of go where maybe even what's happened during the day or things that I've absorbed during the day, and then it reminds me. I'm like, oh yeah, I can tie that dot together with that dot, something I've been talking about. And I'm always trying to make an overall kind of umbrella picture of my narrative. It's hard to do, but so I just kind of let it happen organically. And the spider one just kind of came up.
Do you want to, in case people haven't seen that, do you want to explain a little bit about that? I mean, I don't know if many people do really realize what spiders do, but you can explain it, Josh.
They can fly. They what they do is they use the atmospheric electricity, and so that's one of the subjects I cover a lot.
A force field, like the electrical force field, just like bees do.
It's very similar. What spiders can do is they anchor themselves to something. They let a web, like strands of web, up into the air about a foot long, and they let them charge up with the atmospheric electricity, and then they can cut themselves loose, and that will pull them through the air. Now scientists or people who studied this used to think that they were just using the air, like the wind, until they started realizing that they were doing this on days where there was no wind, and so they had to go back to the drawing board. And
can I just say one thing? Although I find it absolutely amazing, and I know you're going to explain it a bit more, I'm so glad that we're not walking down the road and we're being hit by spiders flying through the air.
Yeah,
I'd be screaming. Ah!
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times, but you don't see it a lot. I don't think it's I don't think they necessarily feel the need. I think they only do it if they need to migrate or something like that.
Is it certain spiders, or is it all spiders can do this?
I'll be honest, I don't know, but I would assume all spiders, because the web would be the same. But yeah, they use the electricity in the air, and so
basically, to show what they do, they actually put their back up and they put these feelers out, and then they almost wait, and then they get picked up and taken off.
Yeah, and So a simple experiment anybody can do anytime you would happen to see like a spider web dangling, like an old one, like in a corner or something like that. If you put your finger up towards it, the static electricity coming out of your body will push that web away from you. It'll move it away from you, and you
Wow.
can pull
So
it
when you
back.
see a cobweb sort of floating around in the corner, that spider might have migrated in your house.
Yeah, and you know, it gets me thinking about you know other things that spiders do with their webs. I've seen some pictures of their webs are so electrical, that yeah, they're sticky and stuff like that, but they actually zap a bug when it hits it. And is
What,
that why?
stun it basically, electrically stun it.
Yeah, and I makes me question, is that why they put them up high, and why they build their spider webs up high so that they can keep a charge at all times. They can fly with them, so they also use them to hunt.
Do they
And
have any control, or are they just basically floating through the air in that current that they're in, that they've got to, like a bit like bees, so electrical field? And once they're in it, they just have to go with it, or do you think that they can maneuver themselves and they have any control? I'm just wondering.
I would assume they have a little bit of control, and they excuse me, I'm sure they're wiser to what's going on in the atmosphere than us, and well, some of us, and I'm sure they know the right conditions to do it. And
Before everybody watching this hangout, okay, how many of you knew that spiders fly, or get or what do you call it, float?
yeah,
I wonder
fly.
how many people listening in would have thought about spiders. I don't think a lot of people even thought about the bees, and yet really it's something we do know, but we just don't think about.
Yeah, they basically hover, the bumblebees.
Another subject that you really got into as well, another video that you've just put out the other way. What, just say your channel, Josh. It's Josh Stone. That's your channel.
Yeah.
Is about the presidents, which I was really shocked about, because it really shocked me to think that if we'd had a black president then, how did we get to all that racism 10, 20, 30 years later?
Yeah, I mean, it begs did that even, is that even like, has that been semi fabricated in some way, push other agendas?
And just
um
in case people don't know their American history, do you want to explain where he fits in that transient time before more politics we've got today?
there was like, I think seven. I'd have to pull out my
Oh,
notes.
wow.
Yeah, there was a handful of them. They weren't like, 4-year terms. They were, and it was under the original government of the U.S. before the Constitution. um John Hanson was, um during the Act of 1781. So technically, he was kind of falls under both governments, the original one and the one with the Constitution. And there's even a quote that George Washington said. I can't remember the exact wording, but it's hanging up in the White House that the first real president was John Hanson. And see, so the other thing about that is, when you Google this, when you look for pictures of John Hanson, you will get both a black man and a white man. So they muddy the waters on, his color and his race and stuff like that, which is a whole other subject.
Is he not
Um,
mentioned? Because they say the first president, because what they're talking about is the first president of the new way, the start of the new world order, whatever it is. Is that why he's called the first president then?
right, right. But it gets into a lot of, very bizarre subjects about the color of people, and um, even some other stuff that I'm working on, like some of our famous composers and artists and stuff like that were were being depicted as, English white men and stuff like that, but there's a lot of evidence that shows that they were, black. So our history is
Oh, so that's
so,
not so good then, is it? But they did that with women, didn't they? Women couldn't say that they were a woman, so they had to trade sort of under men's names. Elliot, isn't it? That's why.
yeah, yeah.
Is it that sort of thing? So actually, it was all there then, racism and things. It was already there. What do you reckon? Or you just think that they've, because it's a bit of a way back now, it's like covering up our history.
hmm Yeah. And, you know, uh, I mean, there's even kind of question, like, clearly there was slavery, and stuff like that, but were they African? I asked that. Were they truly African? Um, or were they, American Indian descent and breeded, a
Right.
breed was made. And so, yeah, it can get dicey, and it can get like, it's like, it's kind of a weird subject because you don't want to like offend people, and stuff like that. But in the same breath, like truth just kind of by nature offends people. So kind of always on the like a little like a thin
It's a bit
high
strange,
wire.
isn't it, Josh? Because you did one about, I can't think of his name now. Not Schumacher. The guy, the aeroplane guy. They did the engines. I can't remember what his name is now. The Swedish guy. You did a video about him.
I did.
Yeah,
I don't
about
remember.
about aeroplanes.
I've done so many about
He was
that.
from the 1930s. He was around when
Mm,
Hitler. What's his name? I've forgotten what his name is now.
I don't think I made. I don't.
Yeah, you did. You used him. You used a picture of him in your video.
Oh, did I put him in? Yeah. Okay.
That he's the one that watched the birds fly.
Mm,
Do you remember he watched how the birds flew, and actually he made those turbines and planes be more like birds with how they flew.
oh, I know who you're talking about.
I know his name's gone right out of my brain. What I'm trying to
Yeah.
say is you can actually find him on the internet, but if you don't know about him, you won't find him because you're not looking for him. But
y- Right.
so
It's
I'm just trying to sort of equal it out with what you're doing with yours. It's like that information about that president is there, but if you don't know about it, you won't go and look it up or won't research it. Nothing.
right. It, they don't completely hide it because yeah, they have to kind of tell us, you know. But if you don't know to look for it, then you're never going to come across it. You're never going to find that stuff unless you know to look for it. So yeah, some videos like the spiders and the one about the presidents, those are uh,
Was that
subjects
stuff?
that
Was that stuff that you knew, or was that stuff that you came across?
it's stuff I knew for a while. And sometimes I like to make videos that are like 100% legit, provable, um, just to kind of show that some of the theories that I come up with, although some of them might be a little bit far fetched or out there, I feel like there's enough evidence and real stuff that happens. If I kind of show you that, then you can see how I'm getting to my other conclusions. It's
I'll
kind of
come back
why.
to you in a minute, but I just wondered, Patricia, did you know that there was because obviously Obama was not then the first black president. Did you know that? Got to wait for her to unmute. Patricia, Patricia. Oh, don't tell me she's gone to sleep. Oh, there she is. There she's trying. Patricia, what do you make of?
No, I've never really looked into American history, so I won't know. Like you said, if you're not looking into stuff like that, you're not going to know these things. So it's fascinating, isn't it? We've heard about the Constitution, and there were these people that took from the Magna Carta and stuff like that. That's all we know. Before that, because, like I said, you don't look into them things because like I said, I've not really been into American history. I'm not really into history, full stop, to be honest. But because even if the presidents before, we don't really know if that's true. Well, I don't,
Right.
because I weren't there, and this is how I base my life. If I weren't there, I don't know. But it's interesting to find out what they're sort of hiding from us, and what we've not actually, what they're
It
telling
should
us,
be something
the
that's
full
taught
story.
in school, shouldn't it, as part of history?
Yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
Should be in history in schools. The children should have learnt that. I find that very, very strange, to be honest, to withhold
Yeah.
all that information, which is actually the birthing of America, really, isn't it?
The extension of England, really.
Oh,
The
okay.
extension of the crown, which is all the U.S. is just just a corporation. It's it's not a country; it's a corporation, and it's still owned by the crown. That's why some of the videos I make I include things about the crown, stuff like that. That's all America is. It's a corporation, and we're being unlawfully taxed as a result. It's the same as if um, like a supermarket or a big, you know, corporation company would send you a tax bill. It's the same thing. That's what the U.S. is doing. They're sending tax bills to its customers who are already paying into that system, and they're so that's a whole that goes down a whole other subject. But that's kind of why I it's talk about this stuff, and you can't, unless you're to make like a 6-hour presentation. You have to make these little chunks, these little nuggets, right? um, these little puzzle pieces.
Well, I love the way you do it. I think that you're a man who likes a bit of nature anyway, and it suits you as well because it's a nature thing as well as the truth. Even like you did the one about birds. How basically they're going to the trees to charge up.
Yeah, definitely.
We just don't think of that, do we? That they use the trees, they charge up on the trees, even the wires, don't they? The wires, they use them all to charge up so that they can do their
Yeah.
whatever it is, bird flying.
Have you ever like seen a bird like in a situation where it's so confused it can't fly off and there is nothing stopping it? I've seen birds kind of get trapped, like quote unquote trapped, like in a situation in like rafters or something like that,
Do
and
men use the same
they
thing to fly
they
then, Josh?
don't.
Are they like spiders? Do they need the force field to fly, or they use it? They're different flyers
Oh, um,
because they're actually charging up, aren't they? So they obviously need some residency to.
right.
Do you think they're flying like bees and but spiders, or are they flying different?
I think it's very similar. I think it's all electrical. Yeah. I mean, obviously the wings have something to do with it and stuff like that, but the wings alone are not what give them flight. There's more going on, and I mean that that fact, why that isn't like common knowledge, because that starts to open up people's minds to the idea of how planes are flying, and how did we as humans figure out the power of flight. And it, like most of our technology, it is based from nature. We get our best ideas for our engineering of the stuff that we use from nature, by observing bugs, uh, you know all kinds of animals, their techniques, because they use the earth and the electricity. And so we've kind of learned to mock them. And
Yeah,
you
we
know
just take them for granted, don't we? In fact, most people aren't even looking up, probably don't even notice the birds.
right, just take it for granted.
But your videos, I love your videos. Like even that one, like I hadn't really thought about it that the birds were going to the trees to charge themselves up to fly.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they can't get that charge, they don't know what to do.
What, they have to stay there, you mean?
Yeah, they pretty much, or hope for another bird to come and bring them a charge. I literally
Oh.
watched that happen. I saw a bird. It could have flown away, but it was in a situation where it was kind of like in these rafters. It's hard to explain, but it was not trapped, but it would not fly away. And there was a couple people trying to like coax it, like, dude, you can fly away, and like trying to help it along, but it would not do it. It wouldn't do it because it knew it would just fall to the ground. It had run out of charge, and another bird flew up in there, and they kind of interacted with each other, and it flew off. It brought it a charge. Pretty crazy.
It is, because we don't think of it like that, do we? We don't see it like that, and we're not even taught any of this in school, are we?
No.
You need to set up a school and teach the children what the animals of the kingdom are all about.
Yeah, that'd be a different school, because then, like, it'd be a whole different world, because then the truth of just about everything would be out there, free energy, and it would just be common knowledge that they came up with a way to harvest free energy and upcharge us basically. And if humans can figure out like a way to scam each other, they're going to do it. So that's kind of always my thing. If they figured out a long time ago, okay, we know how to harvest this energy out of the atmosphere. We can power up things using that energy for the most part, mostly. Well, we got to come up with other alternative ways that we're actually powering things, so we can charge people for this free service. So, right? I mean, we all kind of question the whole dinosaur thing, right?
Mm.
So that's their big one. They really pushed it. And what do they push in school? What does every single kid love? Dinosaurs. So you have this deep connection with dinosaurs as you get older, because it's a childhood memory, and you're going to protect that memory. So it's very brilliant. So fossil fuels, as a result, is how we're being told everything's being powered. Now, if dinosaurs didn't exist, how are they powering it? Free energy.
That way, though, they can always say that we're going to run out, can't they? And it doesn't seem that that's happening at all.
No.
And when you get into looking up the research, you realise that they're lying to us. And even if some of this oil is in a difficult place to get it from, there is still oil everywhere, and they're lying, saying that there isn't enough oil when there is.
Whatever oil is, I think the stuff maybe they use for cars, I think that might be soy. I don't even think that's something that they're pulling out of the ground per se. I think they're just making it. I think it's organic, but I think there is some sort of oil in this earth, and I think it reproduces itself. It's like our blood, and in humans, you lose blood, but your body will remake new blood, and I think that's all oil is. It's the earth's blood.
Mind you, I suppose if we actually knew the truth, then we wouldn't need them, and it goes on and on and on and on, doesn't it? Because once you learn different ways, and people wanting to want different ways, aren't they?
Right.
You've got Mark Penny who's living on the road. People are starting to want to live off grid.
Yeah, and it's pretty illegal to do. Yeah, and they create all the fear. It's all the constant fear, and
it's so sad that we don't know.
If we're in fear, then we feel like we need them. If we weren't afraid of everything.
Our grandparents used to grow vegetables, even if it was their little allotment down the bottom of the garden, and it was a top-up supply for the house. Even our grandparents, but we don't. We just buy the plastic food in the plastic supermarket. I do it. We all do it. We just go straight to the supermarket. We don't grow anything. We don't have communities. What it is the one thing that gets me, though, is everybody blames the government of the day, but it's actually up to the people to make their community. The government is not going to do that for you, and you wouldn't want it. The people, you make your own community in your own back garden. You do it yourself. And that's the bit that people don't seem to. I mean, I don't know half the people that live here. I live in a little close.
Right.
But in a sense, because of the world, it's a bit like, I think, no, I don't want out there in my little bit of house that I've got. Oh, it's mine. I want to be in my life and in my world in here. I don't want out there in here. And I am a bit like that, whereas I didn't used to be like that. But I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that's waking up, because it's a bit like, well, there are a bunch of zombies out there. And, like, your world changes. I must admit, I had a comment on my other channel, and this person basically said, sometimes I wish I was blissfully ignorant. I just want my old world back. The one where you didn't question everything like this and know that everything was wrong. It does change me forever, doesn't it? I mean, in a time when we know more about everything, the knowledge you've got means you're not down the road from me, Patricia's not down the road from me, and we end up spending more time on our own because of this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just go out and share it. And if you did, they'd say you're crazy. Because you imagine you going into your streets in New York and trying to tell everybody that spiders fly and birds use electricity and charge themselves up on the trees. They'll start laughing.
Yeah.
But it's the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. It's such a tricky way to. It's hard to communicate it to people. I've found that I actually have more trouble trying to. I think everybody's on a different path, and everybody's kind of like, I don't like to use the word level, but everybody's at a different point of where they're at with their knowledge of things. And you we we have our people who just choose to live in bliss and kind of like ignore a lot of stuff. Um and then we have people who are kind of woke to things going on and stuff like that, and truthers, quote unquote.
Do you know something, Joe?
I've
I'm going to agree with you totally on both sides of that, right? I'm one of these people. I don't think I'm very good in going in the streets and showing everybody signs and everybody insults you and then you carry on and trying to explain to them you're flat. I'm much better with when you've woken up. But on the other side, on my other channel, where I was just trying to stress something that was wrong in this case, I got a lot of horrible messages. Really, everyone, like not everyone, but a lot of them were saying, we're going to take your channel down, including people I thought were my friends, because they believe that story. They believe NASA's a lie, but they can't see that that's a lie, and they were nasty, really nasty.
Yeah.
Even people coming via them, where I thought they were my friends.
Yeah.
But lately, some of the people are writing in now and going, I didn't see it, but I see it. Thank you so much for explaining it to me. I see it all now. Oh, I love your channel. And lately, more and more are saying, oh, thank you. And I'm like, wow, that is a nice feeling that people did see it and they saw it through your channel.
That's kind of like the underlying hope is like, okay, like, why am I sharing this stuff? Like, why am I setting myself up for so much ridicule? And like at the end of the day, it's always because, okay, well, this is my point of view, and I think some of it's dead on. I don't know how much of it's off, whatever, but some of the stuff, okay, it's like planting seeds. It's like hoping you want other people to see it because it's liberating once you do. It kind of sucks at first. You go through these stages of almost like mourning, like, oh my God, this is the reality we're in. But then that turns into kind of like, all right, I know this. And it's a little sense of mental freedom, because we're never really gonna
I so wholeheartedly agree with that. Well, I don't know what it was. It's actually been a few good months now. But when I realised through this case that it wasn't just that they lied to us occasionally, they lied to us, in fact, much more than we think. And, nearly everything we're watching is just like the, Russian vids icon from that film. Our life is that. And I don't know if anybody was aware, but if you slow down your national anthem, some words come up and they say,
Yeah.
government is God and you will obey. And what's the words it says? It says, oh gosh, it's gone out of my brain now. Whatever it is will not be tolerated. Rebellion will not be tolerated. And that's been said to you since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't expecting that it was everything, so that when we're actually watching all this news, it's not real, any of it. It's all just like, to them, they go to work and make Dallas Dynasty. It's just called the news, whatever. It's the same thing, just on another level. And it blew my mind, because it made me realize that there is absolutely no one to go to. No one.
Yeah.
So it's like,
This is kind of our only outlet, is communicating through YouTube videos and stuff like that, and hope that it resonates. And I always think in my mind, like, I never promote rebellion. I don't promote anybody rebelling against the government, or I never really bring up any kind of secret societies and stuff like that. I just don't go there. I don't name names like that. Um, I see it. There's enough people out there doing that, so I try to just keep that out of my energy. And I'm more about
do you know,
just
see, it seems to me, Josh, just waking up is rebellion.
That's true.
You know,
that's
that's all we've
yeah,
done is wake up.
that's true. That's true.
And
I,
you can't help it. And once you, do you know what? It's a bit. I realised I was trying to explain it on the other channel to people that, you know, when you're looking at this stuff, it's a bit like, you know, in the 80s, I suppose it was now. You know, the 4D thing, when it became really popular, everybody got them for Christmas presents. Everybody got birthday presents, or you had about 6 books around your house where you looked into the picture, and then when you focused your mind a bit, or defocused, whichever way it was, then you saw the object in the middle, and there was a 4D car or picture or person or heart. It's a bit like that. But once you get there, you can't go back and then pretend it's all fuzzy again.
right. What, you can't unsee it.
No.
Yeah.
But that's not our fault if we've woken up. But that's when it makes me realise that what we're in is not democracy at all. At all. It can't be if they're controlling it like they are.
Yeah, and it's all done with perception. That's their biggest weapon. That is the weapon of choice, is how to control our perception of things. And that's a big theme on my channel, is the perception war.
Yeah, but you know what they've done, right? On this other case, on the other channel, they've made sure that a group of people are paying Patreon. They're being paid because the people are going to the hangouts. They're asking for money. They've got super chat. And what it is they're all lying. And the people, it's almost like on this case, well, if you're not with us, let's hang them up. Let's go and get them. They've almost turned the people into that. And none of it's true.
Right. Yeah.
They've got them all geared up.
Public opinion. It's yeah. Turning other
Emotionally.
people, controlling their perception of the situation. I have a few like trolls, or whatever you want to call it, that come on to, especially when I talk about free energy, that are bam right in there right away, controlling, trying to redirect people's perception, and not actually of my content, more so than of me. So that's kind of their trick. They want to control people's perception of me, and so if they control people's perception of me, then it controls their perception of my content.
And disruption, because if it's taking things away from what you're trying to talk about, and then all that comes in, it's disruption. That's the whole point, isn't it? That's what they want, is just disruption.
Muddy the waters, try to attack my character. Like I said, they don't attack my content as much as they attack my character. And it's like, you people, like, whoever, you don't even know me. It's like,
I've got so bored of comments like that, because obviously under the unscrambled one, the only thing everybody could say to me was, "Oh, you must be on drugs."
yeah, it's like a script. Really honest, Karen. It's like
insulting. It's so insulting that they think, "Oh, you need to go to a psychiatric schizophrenic thing." And the thing is, what I want to write back and say is, actually, it's the other way round. But all I do is go there and go block. I'm not even answering them. And you know what? For a few weeks, it really did get me down on there, because they were so nasty.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's to discourage you, to take away your courage of keep on going.
I
Like it
also
gets
think that if
it
you
I
see the channel that's fighting and screaming and arguing, they're going to delete you anyway. So you have to
yeah.
be a bit tough. And sometimes I want to answer back, and I go
Like
block.
sometimes you got to respond a little bit because you want the people who are sub to your channel who are actually legitimately there to like check out your shit, to
Actually,
like
no,
they want to see they want to see you defend your content and defend them
actually
and
zero tolerance, because the way I see it is, if you've woken up at all, you are a different person. You and I don't bicker. We don't have ego problems. We don't worry at all about any of those things. That's what happens when you're awake. If you're not awake, then you're worrying about, you're paranoid. There's all these other things going on. So if you're already awake, you won't be speaking like that in the first place. Even though I make these videos, and yes, every single one is going against this case, I am not rude, I don't swear, and I'm not nasty.
right.
So why, and they come and it's like a slap in the face, and I'm taking your channel down, all that, and you think, oh, it's like, this is horrible. But then after a while, you just get past that, like you say, and you think, right, here we go again. Next post, bang, bang, into the next one, into the next video.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Yeah.
heartbreaking because what it is it feels very personal. And the thing is that they don't realize that actually they've got the wrong information. It's them.
Right. Well, it's like like I always say it's scripted. What they're saying is scripted because they all kind of say the same thing. And when you said, "Oh, one of their favorite things to say is you're on drugs," that I get the same thing from these guys. I swear they have a script. So there's certain like trigger things that they'll say that they know will like affect
To
you.
be honest, I find that
It's a
so,
psychological operation.
yeah,
100% psychological.
answer you can give anybody. I just, after a while, when I started to receive quite a lot of them, I actually just sent them as a report to YouTube. Whatever they did, I just said that's spam report. To be talked to like that, like I said, we've lost our channel. What did we do wrong? And yet all these people can talk disgustingly to you. Well, that's fine. They can threaten you. I've had messages on there saying, you better look out for yourself. What, just for an
Yeah.
opinion? Oh, just for an opinion?
Right.
That how can they be allowed to do that message after
Because they're not. What I think is that they're working for YouTube or Google in some sense. They're paid to be there and do that.
so
That's
what
their
it is
job.
like, sorry, I'm not engaging with all that. They get reported or blocked. What is the point?
Uh,
I cannot change people's minds.
So here, like the only time I block or delete any of them is if they start attacking the people who are sub to my channel. So you can, like I always say, you can attack me, you could say whatever you want about me. I'm not going to block you and I'm not going to delete your comment because that's fine. Everybody's entitled. But if you're going to come on, watch a video of mine and then go down in the comments and start attacking other people who are just there generally like, hey dude, cool video, and then that's when I start deleting their comments. That's the only time. um
I just
i
feel on the other
i
one, it,
I don't
it
like
suits you if
the,
you're
the
awake, because if you're not awake, then you're just going to insult and be rude and the whole thing. So that's the way I see it. There's no time to argue with all the people. I don't want that. You're either awake or you're not, and if you're not, I can't help you, because there's probably like, I started off in support of that case. I'm not going to go into it that much because I've told Patricia probably sick to death of it. But basically, I started off in support for it, and then things just didn't add up. Like all the information, suddenly they were giving out all their names and addresses, everybody, even the person who was on a protection scheme. Like, then we got this drive. It was actually, we got an hour, but the discovery document says 10 minutes, and then all this, and then all these things were happening, and then I just started to look into the videos, and then it just blew my mind. And it was like, whereas I'd cried tears for this, it wasn't what I thought it was. And so since then, there's over 100 videos explaining it, and I think that's enough. I can't make anybody see anything. I'm just hoping that the people see it.
yeah, it's like you do your best to make a presentation, a video presentation. I consider myself very amateur at video production. I'm self-taught. I've only been doing it for like 10 months. But it is a learning process of how to communicate what you're trying to,
Mm.
your narrative.
Josh, I know. Listen, when you first started out, you had so much to say. Your video could be 45 minutes long.
Yeah,
But
I know. Yeah,
now you know 5 to 10 minutes. That's
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, I know. My first ones are ridiculous, and I thought about taking them down. I'm like, no, leave them on there because um, that's fine. It's real. It's my journey. It's me from the get, like
But
from my
on
first
that
video
score,
on.
a few videos on Sun and Moon, like that were long, and especially about the NASA, actually did really well on the channel. But you learned that if you wanted to get your message across, 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes, if it
Yeah.
takes that long. But like the hour things, you never know. No.
Every now and again, I'll take like 4 or 5 of the
Yeah,
videos that
I've
I've
seen
been
them.
make like a little mini documentary out of them, and just kind of tie all the dots together in one video. Sometimes that's just for me, so I can keep like, okay, am I
Right,
am
we're
I
at that
getting
stage.
this
I've
narrative
got that
right?
far. I've got that far. So yeah.
Because I like it's an organic process. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
yours changed so much, Josh. You came in with cameras, and now you've gone from bats to birds to spiders. You've done, I love the way you explained it on the water. Do you remember when the water's on the little waterfall and you're saying that it's the same kind of thing in energy
oh
drugs? I love
yeah,
that. Explain that. That's just amazing.
oh
You were
yeah, there was,
walking up to the little waterfall. Do you remember?
yeah, the waterfall. I was hanging out with my daughter, and you could see like the water before it was going over the edge, and it had like this. It looked like it was vibrating, so it was like this resonance, and so that's kind of like your turbine, and then the water gushing over, turning white, is kind of like the explosion of that turbine, that free energy turning into power. Yeah. That was cool. That was like me and her just hanging out, talking, going for hikes, and,
See,
and,
now I watch your videos, don't you, Josh?
and that's cool. You caught that though.
Yeah, and I love the way about the vampire bat.
The vampires. I did one just recently on the modern day vampire, um,
I
which
think that's what most humans are by accident, isn't it? We're just vampires. We always want something for nothing.
yeah, I think we're some sort of. I think this right now, this generation, this time period, last, I don't know, a couple hundred years, maybe something like that.
I know, but you
This,
imagine if everybody, it would take a while. If you turned everybody's television off now, and it would still take a while. But imagine in 20 years' time how different the people would be.
without any kind of media coming into their,
Yeah, or
yeah,
different, or let's just say you could have all the television that, because it's not about controlling that way, but people understood that nature, communication, being with people, family, love,
mm,
helping, community, growing things together, all these things. I'm not saying we don't have them, but I'm just saying we're not a community anymore like that. We don't want to help each other. You know, people fall over in the street and people walk past them. You know, we're supposed to be 2019, but we're not we're just, anyway, we're sort of getting uglier as it's going along, I think. um
that's
just
for sure.
if you had all those really nice things in place, then the television wouldn't be a television, it'd be a television.
True. Yeah.
I mean,
I
goodness knows what they're doing to us if they can do this on a national anthem that nobody noticed until a couple of years ago, that the subliminal messages were in there. So what are they doing to us? I mean, it's a bit like, I'm thinking, you just don't see it at normal speed. And I think I know how they've done it, because when you're on a mobile phone, the screen's a lot smaller. And because half the time you're working and you're looking and you're maybe looking at work and looking, and, you know, like, not every, it's a smaller screen. People don't notice it. It's only when you're on a full screen and maybe you slow some of this stuff down and then you see it. You don't see it when it's whizzing past on a phone. No, I didn't. I think that's how they're getting past a lot of this stuff on us, because most of us are watching it on our phones or tablets, smaller screens.
Mm-hmm.
They're banking on us looking on our phone.
Right. I mean, the American government gave them away for free to make sure everybody had one.
You go, oh great, we've got GPS and da-da-da, and then when you learn that actually it's another form of being followed, like something goes wrong, the police will track your phone. Now, in a sense, say you're a multi-murderer, then maybe that's not a bad thing, but we know that they're not using it for those reasons. They're using it as that's control. It wasn't, they're giving you, like, for instance, like, they make the towns, but what they've done is they've made our prisons. Instead, we've made prisons for us, but we agreed to it and went to them, and they're called apartments, apart from everyone else.
Right.
So we've made our own prisons.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell us that, did they?
Yeah, we are literally we're all slaves. The illusion is freedom is an illusion. Now they can take away that illusion of freedom and put you in jail, and then now you're not free. But out here, we're free, but that's an illusion of freedom.
Yeah, but I think if you have to control the narrative without telling the people, and then you pretend it's called democracy, I think that's pretty damn low.
Perception. It's all about our perception of everything, and
you think you're voting for your freedom, and you're not. You're just voting for more of them.
Words are spells. So
yes,
any time you're using the English language or any languages for that matter, it's all just for casting spells. And
we just want a nice place to live, don't we, where everybody cares more. Maybe not everybody can. I don't know. That's the point I've got to, I think, where it's the one thing that always comes back in messages. Well, maybe a lot of people aren't supposed to be woken up right now. That's the way it is. But it's just so sad, because if we woke up more, we'd come together differently it's a spiritual thing, this waking up. It's a connection that we can feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a connection to other realms,
You know what, Josh? You and I have never met each other, and we probably won't because of the distance. But we do care about each other. We can feel it on the hangout. We know as people, as friends. Yeah. That's the kind of thing. And if more people felt or understood that, then people there's no time. Everything's such a routine, and it's a totally different place. I think that's why my kids don't understand me. We don't work and things. We still probably have to do all those things, but it's just the knowledge, everybody treats each other differently. Well, that's what should happen if you've woken up. Because the last thing you and I think is that we've got to have some egotistical game with each other.
Right. That's like not even in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you start to resonate on a different, like in a different mindset, where that you realize all that is basically an emotion that's forced on us to keep us in a lower vibration, so we can't get out of that and see things for how they are. Because when you don't have that ego and you don't have that going on in your mind's free to see the truth.
Anyway, I like what you see in your mind, Josh.
Thank you. I like what you
see waterfalls and electric birds and flying spiders. Yeah. Anyway, Patricia, I like Patricia because she's a bit quiet there. Patricia, are you there? Patricia, I'll sing, Patricia. Oh, she might. She was feeling very tired.
I'm
We've had
here. I'm here.
Patricia. What do you think about what we've just been talking about?
It's fascinating. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Mm.
Well, we could wrap it up here. It's a pretty good point, I think.
We've been going for about 45 minutes.
That's perfect. And we'll do another one in like a couple weeks, and we'll just kind of
Yeah.
keep connecting.
I think for a while, I quite like this sort of more one-to-one with our guest. I think I like that. Because when we could just sort of talk a bit.
Yeah. And you don't have to go as long. You can, and then yeah, mix it up. Mix it up. Do a bunch of one-on-ones and then do a big group one and
Yeah, maybe like that. But anyway, and also we'll probably have to have one of those hard quizzes by Patricia.
We'll have to take a vote on that.
No. Anyway, Patricia, I know it's been a long evening. We've been going for quite a few hours now, and we haven't had a hangout this late for ages. Patricia, I love you lots. Josh, I know I could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours, even more. That was really great. Love you lots. Love you both.
Love you
Mwah.
too. Thank you.
Love you, Karen. Love you, Josh.
That was
Love
really
you.
nice. We'll do it again soon, Josh. But anyway, we'll say goodbye off air. Anyway, goodbye on air.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.